Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to come on the inside because it's pretty warm outside today, and I thought I would take this swing axle off the right side so we can access the boot here to be able to replace that, and assess what bushings and shims and all that good stuff on this carrier and the bolt all the way through here. So I'm going to be going by the shop manual, not going to be going any further on that today. As far as certainly not getting into the pin and ring gear, I'm going to be doing a bit more research whether to go any further forward on that, because there's no evidence of leaking, and there seems to appear to be no play in it, so I don't know that I'm going to open up that can of worms. But we're definitely going to take off this side of the axle today and let's see what we can come up with. I'm going to be going by the shop manual, and let's see how easy or hard this is, shall we? Okay, first things first is we have a little wedge pin down here. Going to loosen back this nut off, 13mm nut. First of all, not take it all the way out, because we do have to knock that wedge pin out of there. We don't want to obviously damage the threads. Get that to the top there, and what I'm thinking, we can move that axle, probably move this off of here. I'm going to kind of get a drift on that bolt there and see if we can knock that loose this way. Okay, I've got an old extension here that I can use as a drift. Hopefully I can get the right angle there and knock that wedge out. So it's got a flat side to this pin to butt against the pivot there. Put the nut back on. Now we've got to loosen this guy up. There's a little locking tab on that. Okay, and then loosen this guy off. This is a 17mm. Loosen that guy. Now I'm going to loosen these. I don't know, it doesn't say that in the manual, but I'm going to loosen these anyway, these guys. That's a 15mm socket. This is obviously the carrier, the main carrier that goes up into the trunk area of the car. Okay. So then I'm going to flip it back over, and then we'll get some wrench on this nut here. Take it. Okay, let's undo this front nut here, and then I'll undo these straps as well. This is 32mm socket. I don't know what the torque specs is on this, but not very tight by the feel of it. That really wasn't that tight, actually. This one doesn't look stock, actually. It looks like a regular hose clamp. I don't think that's stock myself. This one looks more, you know, like those flat bands like in the on the fuel lines, you know. Just flat. I would imagine that's more stock. But I'll be ordering a new kit anyway, so you know, as I said before, if you wanted to do a sort of a temporary repair on something like this, there are split boots with a special band, and then you get a special crimping tool, and you always put the joint at the top for obvious reasons. I'm sure that'll get you out of trouble for some years, but ideally you want to put a full boot on there. Let's loosen that. Okay, that's all loose now. So then, now I've not done this before. Duke on the group site sent me this tool. Screws into here and acts as a drift be able to push that pin out. I'm going to just gently tap. I don't know how much force is needed, probably not a great deal. This is all secure on those two yokes here and this one here, so just gently, really not putting any swing in it, just about that much, you know, so you see it coming out the back there. Okay, so we've got this little outer washer as a ring seal here. I'm going to keep everything in order. Obviously I have the book to make sure it goes back right. There you go, it's much looser now. Very easy now. So, there we go. So we're all loose now. This is obviously disconnected. I gently tug that back towards me. Very gently. Oh no, this will obviously go this way, won't it? Once we get this sleeve out, this arm out. Whoops. Right, that goes there. Okay, and then there is a ring on the inside and another sleeve. And the same here. I'm doing this reference not just for you guys, but for me, because I'll be watching this video again. So, just over here, let me just show on the camera. So we have another ring, rubber ring here. Obviously is a consumable that we'll replace, a shim. Okay. And that is it. So that's on the inside up and against the housing, and the same on this side, a ring and a shim. Pull it back a little bit, and then a ring on this side, as I say, with this guy. Okay, it looks like this shim has some cutouts there, I'm assuming for lubrication, little cut slots there, and I do believe, yeah, there is a Zerk fitting on the bottom of both of these pivot arms so you can grease this point. All very logical. Let me get my rag. Now I cleaned a lot of this obviously before I took all this apart, so be extra careful you're not getting any dirt in there. So that's that off. You can see that, it's kind of like bushings in there. Clean all that up, Zerk fittings here and here to lubricate. This is that famous joint that people talk about failure on the 6.3 due to the torque. I'm going to defer to you guys on this, people in the know, what to look for on this for damage, etc. If there is any, let's fingers crossed there isn't. Let me get something to protect it underneath here. Take this boot right off now, can't we? I can't think of the name of this darn thing now. It's got a slip joint inside here. Let me get the camera in, see if I can get a better shot for you. Okay, so here's the joint here. Now, just checking these splines. They seem to be okay to me. And I'm assuming that's what you're checking for. But again, I'll refer to anybody's help on this. There's a circlip at the end here. I'm assuming that is to get this spline out to replace it if it is damaged, but again, that's just me guessing. I can't see anything wrong with that myself, but please let me know what to check for. Any cracking and splitting, I guess, you know, fractures in the wall. Everything feels to be very smooth with no play. Gently move this back, slide this guy out. Okay, there's the carrier. Now, yeah, there we go. There's a rubber bushing inside here that needs replacing. And you clamp screws and press it in, I guess. Okay, so that's that guy. Again, pretty straightforward. Rubber looks a little disintegrated at the end here. So we'll get a new one of those. And again, because from my understanding, this is not a limited slip differential rear end. So the conjecture is that this is possibly been replaced over the years with an earlier one. From my understanding, again, I think they weren't limited slip differentials on the earlier 6.3s. And I've done a bunch of research and about whether this is one, and apparently it is not one. So thought a nice slip lock bag will do the trick, won't it? So we'll get that in there. Like I say, guys, this is a new job for me. I've never done this before. I've done rear end bearings and that thing, but because this is kind of a special car, I wanted to make sure that we covered all our bases. But I don't want to be silly about it. I don't want to go digging into things willy-nilly, you know, and get myself in trouble. Oh, I need a bigger zip tie, don't I? I'll join it together, I guess. So that's why I'm being extra cautious. I asked a local guy, Rick Werner from Werner Mercedes, about these rear ends and how far to go on it, and his advice to me, essentially, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if you're not seeing any obvious leaks in the pinion up here, just leave it as it is. And like I say, I'm pretty industrious. If it came to the car being on the road for a couple of years and I had problems, I would just address it at that point, you know. So, because obviously I've got a lot of work to do, and it is just me doing this work, all the welding, all the body work, and I'm trying to balance everything sensibly with a decent budget, you know, a sensible budget, but not being silly about it where you're replacing things that are unnecessary. So a lot of the parts are in presentable condition. I'm just, you know, cleaning up and repainting, you know, and obviously, you know, I'm doing a lot of plating. That always gives it a nice appearance, but it's minimal work, to be honest with you, to do that. So that's as far as we got today. Now I'd love some feedback on this part of the differential. I'm always glad to hear from you guys of any tips, and thanks again, Duke, for that tool. That was awesome. And let me show you guys. Now this is the other tool he gave me. Now this is to reset everything in, you know, and this is tapered on the end here to be able to allow all these parts to go on nice and simple and keep everything aligned. I'll probably be calling Duke about tips on using this if I'm missing anything obvious. So that's that. As I say, we'll be ordering all the little parts, the bushings, seals, this kind of stuff. I think it's Niemoller, I think is the site. I've got a kind of a ongoing list there. Besides this part, with all the bushings and all the shells, you know, the anti-dive shells, the seals, the bearings, all of that stuff, I think it's getting close to a memory now, around $1,000, something like that. Maybe a little less. But that includes, I think I've ordered brake shoes and all that stuff. I'm working on the brake calipers, by the way. I might shoot another video on that. Let me actually, hold on a minute. Okay, so this is the outer half of one of the rear calipers. Now you saw that video of me breaking loose the piston, so you can see that come up real nice. That's all zinc plated and yellow chromated. Now one of the members on the group informed me that originally the ATE, ATE or whatever, however you pronounce it, were originally just zinc plated or black. Now I think these were black because they had some black stuff on it that was a devil to get off. I think it was just caliper paint, I guess. But yeah, I went the extra mile to do the zinc plating. I think it kind of looks cool, and like I say, I'm not entering Pebble Beach. I won't be rubbing shoulders with Jay Leno anytime soon. So yeah, we got those done. Now let me show you another thing. Now actually the bores inside these, beautiful condition. A little difficult to show you on the camera there. See if we can show you. But I don't know whether you can see that. The bores behind that seal line there, perfect condition, no problem at all, right? But let me show you the pistons. Now these are 42mm pistons. They're the bigger ones for the 6.3, because the 6.3, this 6.3 anyway, had rear ventilated discs on it, and the piston was bigger on this than that donor car I have. They had like 35 or 36mm pistons, I think. And so anyway, these came out, and two of them are pretty good shape, but there's two of them that, if you can see, get them up there, heavily pitted right at the front edge there. The bore is okay, but again, I'd like some feedback. There's some pitting right at the front edge. Now, if you can imagine, the seal sits just below that. I'm thinking I would probably be okay with these, but ideally I'd like to replace these pistons. They're not overly expensive, but here's the problem. Not that they're 45mm pistons, but it's like, see this little piece in here, that runs on a guide pin inside the bore, okay? Now the ones I've found at 9 Molar and a few of the other sites, they'll do 45mm pistons, but it doesn't look like that. It doesn't have this kind of little piece in here that's been peened over inside that bore. So that's what the front looks like, you see. So if anyone can help on that, help me locate, I'll buy all four of them. It's not a problem. They normally run around 40, 50 bucks each or something, I think. And that's pretty cheap compared to new calipers, because the calipers are coming out wonderful. Another thing with the calipers, now some people have talked about, and it does that, and he's right, the bloke's right, it does say not to split the calipers, okay, just don't do it. Now, I'm not sure whether that's a liability thing or not. It seems a little odd to me, because I mean, you're doing brake jobs all the time, various safety things on the car, no problem. But I know they're torqued at the factory, but I'm thinking, you know, there's a certain torque sequence that would, I would imagine, be pretty logical, and as long as you get the torque correct, which again I'd like some feedback on, I can't see a problem, because it's all beautifully machined flat there. And it might be because they have difficulty finding the seals. Now I have found the seals, I think I've said before in an earlier video, and I got them from a company out of Vallejo, California, and they specialise in the G series SUV, and the seals that go on these are exactly the same. Now Aaron Householder from I think the 108, 109 group, he directed me to the correct part number for the seals, and I think I put it in the caliper video that was out a few weeks back. On a regular caliper, obviously you just need the two seals, don't you? But because these are the ventilated disc calipers, you've got this spacer which requires another join essentially, so you need 4 seals per caliper on the wider ones. So that's just a little note for you. I even zinc plated these little spacers here that go here like that. They look pretty cool. I'm still working on the other halves, so that's that. Also, as far as the plating goes, I can do the zinc plating, just zinc, beautiful shiny zinc, then you get the yellow chromate, plus I've been able to do the black chromate, and that looks really good. Here's one I did earlier. So I black chromated the mounting bolts, see, the Allen bolts. This is the front caliper of the 6.3, bloody monstrous thing it is, but I've put all new seals in that, all new shims and all that stuff, so that's all ready to bolt on pretty much. I do have to torque these down. I'm still yet to find out the torque specs on that. These have got the new seals in. I replated the little bleeder screw there. That was pretty easy, but they're going to look pretty handsome on the car. I've put probably put new rotors on and all that, pick up some Zimmerman ones or Brembo or something like that, and new brake lines I'll put on there as well. So yeah, we had a little chat with a few people on the channel about the bearings on the rear axle here, and these are, whoops, it's popped out now, look at that. These are obviously going to be replaced, but these are what they call self-centering bearings. Now, one guy, I can't remember your name offhand, but he made the observation that obviously once it's spinning like this and it's captured in the casing, there is no movement like this, is there? It's fixed, it's a fixed position. And I agree with him, I don't quite understand, you know, even this is moving like this with the shaft in here. What's the reason for this business? Unless these were put in, you know, at a later date for some reason, but it does specify, actually, come to think of it, in the manual for the 6.3 self-centering bearings, and I haven't had a clear answer on why that is, because it's baffling really. I don't understand, because this, like I say, is a fixed position. Once it's fixed at this end and that end, those are two fixed positions and they move essentially parallel together, don't they? But it does say it in the manual, so I'll probably just order obviously what they say in the manual, keep it all kosher. Okay, back to the front subframe. Just a quick catch up on this. I stopped work on this a few weeks back, or a couple of months back now, because I got into the welding and what have you, and I was trying to locate the, what was it, the upper outer repair kit for this portion here. It took me a little while to locate those. They was not available, so I just put it in the back burner until they were, and I spoke to Pierre and he gave me a link. It was actually out of the UK. I was able to locate a new Phoebe kit for the upper outer repair kit for the kingpin area, you know. So now we can start moving ahead with this and getting this all buttoned up. The control knuckles are down at the shop. I'm cleaning those, ready for some chassis paint. Airbags are fitted, as you know, all new buffers, all that kind of stuff. I've got new buffers on the lower control arms. Replating's all done. The pivots are in, you know, the kingpins, these horizontal pins, and all lubricated. Now what I'm doing now is I'll show you that tank. That airbag has a little bit of pressure in it, and just like to show you, I just pressurise the tank to probably about 4 bar, something like that. Let's put about 4.5 bar in it. 70 psi, that'll do you. So that's all pumped up, right? So what I've been doing over a period of weeks, actually, because you want to make sure each element is working correctly, don't you? And not leaking down, causing you problems. So I bought this gauge from Martin Wormhausen, I think the guy is, the one that rebuilds all the valves. And he sold me this valve, and it's basically just to monitor pressure. So I'll quickly screw this guy in here. It will leak a little bit on the connection. There we go. So get that tightened there. So what we got here looks like just below 5 bar. So let's put it down to a set point. Is that bar? Oh no, there we go, 4.5 bar. Let me get it to 4.5 bar. Right, and what I've been doing, I've been taking a little picture of it at that point. Take a picture of it and just leave it, and make sure we get no leak down. And I'm just showing you that, but I haven't had leak down from either bag for weeks. I mean, they're solid, they're not leaking at all. So we know that's good, don't we? So what we can do then is go ahead, get these knuckles on, the repair kits on, the kingpins in, these lower control lights. You see how nice that one is, that tower there? This one, I mean, it's okay, isn't it? But it's pitted. And when I got the 6.3, they had a few of these cones kicking around. So a guy let me have them, and I found one in much better shape. Doesn't have all that pitting, so I've replated it. It's down at the other shop, so I'm going to take that one off and put the other one on. It's a minor thing, it really doesn't matter, but it's just while you got it, you might as well, mightn't you? the plates on the top here, these spacers, I think we mentioned that before, but just a quick overview if you haven't seen it. These are spacers to provide a little bit, a 3/4 of an inch thick spacer. That's not on the standard 108s, and I don't think it's on the 3.5 109, but to give a little bit more room inside the engine bay, so effectively lowering the engine by 3/4 of an inch gives you a little bit more room against the hood. Makes sense to me. So those have I replated those in black. So next thing, once this is all together, I'm going to send the valves out to be cleaned and rebuilt. I've decided, you know, because of all the work I'm putting in and trying to toss around testing them and stuff, I'm just going to send them off and get those rebuilt. So we'll go for that. I think the rear one is already redone, so I think it's just going to be the 2 front ones and the main valve. So I hope you enjoyed that video today. It was kind of a little impromptu video. I went out to one of the job sites today I'm working on. Worked all morning and had a bit of time this afternoon. I didn't feel like going back to work. You know how it goes. It was a hot day, did alright, and so I thought I'd come back in here and start on this. There's kind of a time thing with this room, you see, because this used to be where I did some of the finishing for my antique business inside this tiny little room, believe it or not, a few years ago now. But the wife's got her eye on this room, you see, to make a guest room. So she sees all this lot set up in there. She's not a happy camper, you know. I'll tell her it's not going to be long. It's not a permanent thing. Anyway, I do need to get these moving on. Once they're done, once they're painted, they can be just stored down under a blanket in the shop or something. So that, I think, is it for the day. Next project up, I really don't know. It really depends on my mood, whether I feel like, you know, sometimes you feel like welding, sometimes you feel like cutting in metal and welding and stuff. Sometimes I feel like painting, you know. I start stripping some, like that trunk lid. I'm going to finish stripping that trunk lid, fill those holes in where because that was off of a 280, fill a few of the holes in and reset the holes where the 6.3 badges go, get that all back to bare metal and chuck some epoxy primer on it. I got some white epoxy primer because obviously that's close to the colour that we're going for, which is 050 white. Give it a nice bright punchy look. And also, oh, I know what I was going to say, I think I might have already mentioned this in the video, but I've ordered some blue chromate for, you know, like all of the door latches, the strike plates, I think the trunk latch. There's a few items on the 108 and Porsches and cars like that that have that blue chromate finish. It looks like zinc but has a kind of a blue hue to it. So I've ordered some blue chromate for certain parts of the car, so that should be coming in the next few days, and I'll shoot a video out to you guys to show you how that comes out. So that'll be kind of a nice sort of thing to show you. And yeah, it really is whatever the mood strikes, you know, what I'm going to do next. So really appreciate you guys watching. I really appreciate all the help and the input. I'm not proud, and I'm learning from you guys as much as you're learning from me. And also a shout out to Merkmad down in Australia, who's been giving me some great tips on certain aspects of the car. He's obviously got years of experience, and yeah, I really appreciate any help like that. And when we get to getting that engine out, that I'm reconsidering how I'm going to get that out, because Merkman talked about dropping it out the bottom again, which initially I wanted to do, but I thought I'd be obstructed by certain aspects of the frame. But I'm looking at it again, and I'm not sure that's the case. So, but anyway, it's all good. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Click like, share, subscribe, all that business, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, take care. Have a good one.